one love, one family, one beat, one plan, one love, one family.
Good morning and welcome to SoulCall Sunday. My name is Lisa Ferraro. We welcome you wherever you are on the planet. And if you're watching us post-recording, post-livestream, we welcome you also. And we hope that these programs give you some of the tools necessary to stay peaceful in a changing and sometimes chaotic world. It seems like so much is shifting and changing right before us. And today's topic, we're going to dive into the subject of hold your peace. And so to start us off and just find that still small voice within that center of meditation, we're going to invite, as we always do, a practice of Qigong, which is an ancient Chinese practice of working with the energy as within, so without, pulling the energy in to the body that we have access to at all times. And it's just a matter of practicing these things. Just even if we took 2 minutes to practice being aware that we are more powerful than we realize. We are not here, as Yogananda would say, to be buffeted and shattered, like the waves on the top of the ocean. It's very chaotic, but when you get deep, deep, deep into the ocean, that ocean of peace, ocean of bliss in the soul, we can stand unshaken amidst the crash of breaking worlds, as he would say. When I heard that for the first time, it kind of changed my life because I felt like I was mostly navigating through the crash of breaking worlds. There was always some cataclysmic something going on, or at least the news anchors would make us believe so. Why? Because it benefits the keeping the balls in the air, keeping us off our center, keeps us riveted on what they're going to tell us next. Turning all that off for a minute, it doesn't mean not to be informed, but allow yourself to move through these shifts and changes with peace in your heart. So we're going to talk about how to navigate that. And so this morning, we'll begin with our practice of Qigong as we invite Deborah Weisenberger-Lippitz to take us into a practice of Qigong.
Hello, everyone. We continue with our Qigong Rofu practice. So please connect inside, outside to inside. Look forward from the center of the head, Shenji Palace, out through Yin Tang, the third eye, in all directions to merge with infinite space. And from there, gather all the healing chi, love, good information, and pull it back through Yin Tang to the center of the head, and naturally close the eyes. Connecting outside to inside begins to awaken our inner essence, our inner lighthouse. Immediately, we relax. As our lighthouse gets brighter and brighter, it expands out in all directions, top, below, front, back, and every space in between, connecting us all, heart to heart and mind to mind, as one. Then pull all this loving chi, contracting from all directions, back inside. Our inner light is now shining very brightly. Please bring the hands up on top of the navel. The centers of the palms, Lao Gong to do Qi. And we begin our Qigong Rofu. circling, pushing to the front, the SI joints, kidneys, Ming-Mong, then circling to the right, to the back, to the left, and forward, inside space, circling, right, back, left, forward, inside space, circling. The inside space, lower dantian, becoming larger, larger, huge inside space, the universe inside, connecting, merging, transforming, circling, spiraling, inside space, then gradually stop circling, observing chi inside, huge space, huge. Then relax hands to both sides. Very gently open the eyes, smiling from the inside out. Enjoy playing with chi.
Thank you, Deborah, and enjoy playing with the puppy in the back. It was just, I think I smell food coming from the kitchen. Such a cutie. And taking this energy of joy and puppy motion and the spiraling of ourselves, let us open into this beautiful meditation with the song Sacred.
So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. 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 I will share, 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 this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious. This love I will share, 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 I will share this love. This love, this love, this love, this love, so sacred, so secret, so precious. This love, so sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. This love, this love, 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 this love, this love, this love, this love.
And in this sacred love, we melt, we open all the way to the infinite source of love, that it may fill us to overflowing. May it fill us to true knowing. The wisdom of the soul is calling. May we be conduits, bridges to peace, examples of peace as we find that peace in our universe within, our individual universe, as we merge into the infinite galaxy of consciousness. Om. Amen. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, and if you've been with us since the beginning of the program this morning, or if you're watching this at a later date, we welcome you and we thank you for sharing us with your friends and inviting us all into your consciousness for a little bit this morning as we co-create a world of peace. And this morning, I wanted to talk about the phrase, hold your peace. And most often when we hear that phrase, I know as one who gets to officiate weddings, it's something I love doing is marrying people. It's a fun thing to do, but there's something that is not in the languaging of marriage ceremonies anymore. And it's speak now or forever hold your peace. And the whole phrase was, if there's someone here that, kind of paraphrasing here, that knows for a reason that this couple should not be joined. And it's old. It's an old thing based on law before we had the capacity to share information as rapidly as we can share it now. You know, if you're raised in a Catholic faith tradition, they had the things in the bulletins called the banns. There would be 3 of them, and they would just advertise to let people know this person is going to marry this person, just giving people information about who's getting married in case there's something, you know, maybe somebody's married in some other state. These kinds of things still happen actually, but we don't say that anymore. But the phrase was speak now or forever hold your peace. And I thought, you know, Natalia and I've been doing a lot of editing for our new book that's going to be coming out in the months ahead, and it's just kind of the economy of words. How can we get right to the point without missing anything or like losing anything in the translation? So I thought, we don't need speak now or forever hold your peace. It's just the idea is hold your peace. Sometimes not speaking at all is what is necessary in the moment to hold the peace. Holding peace, and it's not necessarily what we say or what we don't say. Sometimes what we say can just cause as much irritation, even if it feels like it's a positive thing we're offering. I know people like this where you'll say I'm not one who particularly loves hot, humid weather. I know some people thrive on it. So good for you. I'm not one of them. So if I say something like, oh my God, it's going to be 91 degrees and really humid again, I don't want to have somebody next to me saying, at least it's not 100. It's like, thank you very much. Like inside, I'm doing my inner Ralph Macchio from My Cousin Vinny. When he's like, Stan, shut up. I don't need to hear that. Yes, it's not going to be 100. I still don't like for it to be 91. You're not helping. I don't need that. I used to do that many years ago when I started on the path of meditation. I quit my day job and decided I'm going to follow the path of service to the infinite, as I had always thought I would do from the time I was a little kid. Unfortunately, I was spared the fate of becoming a priest. I thought that was the only way to do it because that was just my world. I didn't have the experience of the larger world to recognize there are more than certain religious philosophies to serve the infinite in others. And so I was spared of becoming a Catholic priest when I realized, as a female, that wasn't possible. It wasn't an option for me. But I quit my day job and started on the path of meditation and creating music and offering what my gifts were to help create more peace and connection to source, to God, goddess, whatever you want to call that infinite thing. And I remember I lived in a duplex. I lived upstairs and a very dear friend of mine lived downstairs, and she was going to school and working. And so her load was a little, more than mine, a little more stressful at that point. And so I'd spend my days meditating, writing, going for a run, and eating, and then meditating again and writing for hours and running. I was doing what I was doing, and she was doing what she was doing. But I would be the one that when she would just complain about something, I would give this positive reframe. And I remember one afternoon, it was actually going into the evening. I could hear people arriving to her home, and they were having a little get together downstairs. And I thought, well, why didn't I get invited to the get together? So I called downstairs and I said, hey, are you having a party? And she said, yes. And I said, well, is it like people I don't know, or am I not allowed to come? And she said, you know what? I didn't invite you because we're all kind of stressed out about our jobs and you're just going to be too happy. And we just don't, you can come, but as soon as you start trying to give us some positive spin on a thing, we're going to send your happy butt right back upstairs. And I was like, no, I can do it. I can come and not say anything. I'll just be there and I won't say. So I was there for maybe like 30 minutes until I realized she really meant it. And it was better for me to just take myself back upstairs. I couldn't relate, but it didn't mean they were wrong or I was right. Or it was just not where I was at the moment. They needed that space to just kind of commiserate, just to get it out with a sympathetic ear. So what I had to learn years later was always being the one to come in and offer some positive flip. If somebody's not ready for that, they need to get with where they are first. And I needed to get with where I was first, in that this is not how we bring peace, by trying to pull somebody out of a thing that they're not ready to come across yet, a bridge. We have these things in our brains called pawns, and it's a Latin word that actually means bridge. And these pawns that bounce around in our brains build bridges with experiences we have and emotions triggered by those experiences. And so what I realized through the path of meditation, what was happening to my brain and my heart, these pawns were starting to create different relationships. My brain was actually changing so that I can be in a position and know when to speak, when not to speak. because it was helping me to create from different parts of my brain, from a place that wasn't just me oriented, it was we oriented. I could see myself, but I could also see myself as I related to the whole, but I could almost see and feel and empathize with more of the whole. It was almost as if my part in participation with what was going on was to be the one that could actually see the whole thing and do the best that I could to bring a peaceful contribution. Sometimes that was a word, sometimes it was silence, sometimes it was an action, a particular action, or a non-action. You know, the Book of the Tao speaks about this too. A lot of wisdom books speak about when it's ours to do, when it's not. So just being peaceful doesn't mean we never do anything. That's not it either. It's that act of knowing when to do it. So most often, you know, when we talk about opposing points of view, you know, how to bring peace in a world that seems to be chaotic. Remember the quote from Einstein? You remember that one? When Einstein says we can't solve a problem at the same vibration or with the same mind that created it. It's because things are going to bounce around, or the bridge is going to be out. The pawns aren't connecting. They're not building bridges. And it's just going to be this frustrating little, like being stuck in a room. You get stir crazy, like the little dog in the Qigong video. It just wanted out of the room, even though a beautiful thing was happening. Sometimes we operate with our pawns just bouncing in a small area of our brain without being able to connect in a meaningful way to the parts of the brain that could bring forth some action in our bodies, to a word, a deed, something like this. So in 2 points of view, if we have opposing points of view, it's the false idea that there's only 2 ways of doing a thing, this way or that way. For those of us who've had the privilege of traveling the world, watching different cultures do similar things, even ritual, they're getting to the same expression, relationship in a ritual. They'll do it so many different ways, depending on where we're born on the planet. We even call the infinite by different names, depending on where we are. The music of the world is different, thankfully. It's so rich with expression. So how can we open the aperture of our consciousness to take in more of a world view? And there's science now, statistics, imaging of the brain that shows meditation is as Yogananda would say, the airplane route to this consciousness. It's the quickest way of doing it. It's the quickest way of doing it. And so I say it like this. So opposing point of views, when I teach creativity classes, or I go into corporations and do events stimulating creativity, I always talk to them about teams of the creative people. We're all creative, but this team right here, trying to create an ad or a thing, to try to find the third way. Try to find the third way. Instead of doing it this way or that way, find the third way. Or, so sometimes my only word would be or. Interesting, or somebody else will come out with something. And it's interesting that once you find the third way of doing a thing, multiple ways come out. And so I'm always looking for 360 ways of doing the thing, because that would be the degrees around the center. Find more than 3 and you'll find infinite possibilities. So how do we do this with meditation? Ways to hold peace. Well, what I realized when I was a little kid, and I was talking with Natalia right before we started this morning, I was saying when I was little, I could empathize with anything. Like I could empathize with an old chair. Somebody brought a chair out, or you walk into a room and I think, wow, how many people sat in that chair? What do they talk about? What was going on? You know, I could think of these things and these concepts where I just wanted to relate on an emotional basis with everything and everyone. And I had no place in my mind, my child's mind, or obviously for this in my adult's mind either, for meanness, like meanness, mean-spirited people, actions, people who weren't being fed, people who were being hurt, animals that were being abused. It would blow my mind in a way that was really intense for me when I was little. I could not find my peace. I didn't have a way back to it once my mind was blown. And all I could say was, I hate this. Yeah, it was driving me crazy. And my mom would say, for a little girl, you sure hate a lot of things. And I would go outside. It was hard to get away from people in my house. There were 7 people in a tiny home. Out into the yard and sit under a tree. I didn't realize what I was doing then was meditating. But it would be the way that I could find peace, or I would start to sing to change my mood. And I realized in singing, it is an exercise in super high breath control and vibration of my body cavity. So I could change my mood by singing. That was my beginning of meditation, breath control and singing. I didn't realize it was called meditation, but it would put me in a state where I felt connected to source, and I learned how to calm myself through this. And I think about, how can you hold your peace if you can't find your peace? And noticing now that the quickest way they found is meditation. So accumulating peace would be one way to hold your peace. What do you do to accumulate peace? Some people go for a walk. Some people do beautiful yoga, like those of you who join at 8:15 with Natalia's practice on Sunday mornings. Breathing. So accumulating peace, what we can do to accumulate peace. And then we find that from this peace which we've accumulated, wisdom is born. We have the wisdom to know what is ours to say or not say, what is ours to do or not do in this moment. You might do something later, but now's not the time. Maybe somebody's on a rant, and it's not the time to convince them against their will of another opportunity on the 360. You could try this, or this. They're not ready for that. But our wisdom, by the accumulation of our peace through meditation, that would be step 2, in knowing when to speak, when not to speak. So we have holding peace means, number 1, accumulating it. Number 2, experiencing the wisdom born of this peace. And then 3, a peaceful exchange of ideas comes through wisdom. And then, when you try to do something peacefully, creating something, when somebody says, hurry up, it's hard to be really creative when somebody's rushing us, or to be peaceful when we feel like we're in a hurry. We can peacefully move through and get things done. It just, whether, if you're sitting in traffic and being upset about it, it's going to move the way it moves. But I find that when I'm more peaceful, it seems like it's moving faster. Maybe because my perception of time is shifted because I'm holding my peace. You see how it works? And it does work that way, because quantum physics says the way we present ourselves to a situation, we change the situation. So if I become peaceful, all of a sudden, it seems like everyone in front of me becomes peaceful. Experiment it. Don't just take my word for it. Experiment with it. Next time you're following somebody in the passing lane and they're driving slowly, just say, see them moving to the right, and watch it happen. And be amused at how easy it is sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but you still don't want to lose your peace over it. Don't have it attached to it. So there was a study done with a Harvard scientist, a neuroscientist named Sarah Lazier. And she was studying the effects of meditation on the brain. And she identified areas of the brain that shift. Some areas grow and some areas of the brain shrink. And it's really interesting that the ones we want to grow are the ones that help us to stay calm, like the hippocampus helps us to become, it regulates our self-awareness and our empathy. So meditation and research confirms that the hippocampus grows during meditation. So our self-awareness and empathy, that part of the brain that governs that, grows. The posterior cingulate that's 2 areas that are vitally important that affect change on the brain. It's attuned to the present moment. It's allowing us to be attuned to the present moment without judgment, regret, or anticipation. We're just being, and it helps us to just be. And the pons I was talking about, these bridge builders between parts of the brain, they're very important. And the pons are involved in a great number of essential functions, including sleep, facial expressions, processing sensory input, and basic physical functioning. And so meditation strengthens the pons in the brain, building bridges to these, they're like neurotransmitters, building bridges to things that help us sleep. As our posterior cingulate comes into play and our hippocampus helps us to calm down. And then there's another part, the temporoparietal junction. They call it the TPJ. And it helps us to recognize, again, empathy and compassion now, not just to empathize, but to have compassion for. So it's combined with the benefits of meditation. It lowers stress, and it presents moments of awareness where it helps us to be the good people we aspire to become by recognizing that it takes the focus off of me and puts it on the we. And it enables us to, for example, walk in somebody else's shoes. So these parts of the brain that grow help us to become more empathetic, more calm, the people we really want to be. Meditation is the tool that helps us achieve the peace, hold the peace through meditation. And interestingly enough, the part of the brain that shrinks is the amygdala. Many of us by now have heard of the amygdala hijack. It's when something comes through the limbic system where our memories are, we see an experience, we're experiencing something, and the amygdala says, you've seen this before, and you got to do something. It calms that part of the brain and makes it actually smaller, so we don't have the reaction that we would normally have, because these other parts of the brain have grown, and the pawns are building bridges to those more beneficial responses, and we respond differently and bring that peace that we're holding. We don't spill it over, so to speak. We're not kicking our pail of peace over every time something comes into our field. So it's the corner of the brain that produces feelings of anxiety, fear, and general stress. And so it's like this course in mindfulness will help us to shrink the amygdala and not give it such place of importance, like our fight or flight. There's a fight, flight, freeze, or appease. But it would just kind of circumvent all of that and give us that poise and presence found in the soul. So think of a time when it's easy to talk about meditation. Mondays, we do our meditation Mondays here from 8 to 9 p.m. And you can register for that on our website, soulcallglobal.org. Just you'd register and you'll get the link and you can come into the room and meditate with us. It's this simple practice, though. If it just takes 2 minutes of your time to just collect yourself and be calm and breathe, we'll teach you techniques of breathing, meditation as yoga, meditation as a walk, or just breathing to the count of 10. It just kind of gives you more control over the prefrontal cortex region of your brain when you count to 10, because it turns off that amygdala hijack. And the more we practice meditation, the more these parts of the brain that serve peace and hold peace grow, and the more that amygdala hijack response shrinks. The pawns don't build as many bridges to the amygdala hijack response, So there are different ways of doing it, but we invite you to join us in meditation on Mondays. We're going to be teaching a meditation class coming up in autumn. You register. The Monday meditations are free, or they're on a donation basis. What we're after here is that consciousness. How is peace possible in the world today? I think about that. And is peace possible in the world today? And, I can't think of a decade. If one of you can tell me one decade in existence that didn't have some cataclysmic stuff going down, send it to me in an email, info@soulcallglobal.org. I'd love to know when you think that is. And depending on who we are, it's fear that keeps us separated from one another. Just as in our brains, our universe, this universe of consciousness, named you, named me, fear keeps those ponds from building bridges in our brains, in our own organism, and keeps us in the circle of fear. So does fear keep us, if we are little pods, little way pods for God, as I like to say, fear keeps us apart from one another. We don't understand each other. We don't have to understand each other more than we need to understand ourselves and get a hold of the peace and hold on to that peace in meditation. And then that peace they talk about, that passive understanding, comes to us naturally as a byproduct, as a result of meditation, mindfulness, all the things we want to be. We would prefer to be more empathetic, more compassionate. It's one thing to say it, We need to develop the tools to do that. You know, the people who say, I would love to be a world-class guitarist. You're not just going to pick up a guitar and hold it without ever trying to work your fingers and learn the chords and the notes it's not going to happen that way. You've got to practice. And so practicing this presence of peace, of poise, it is a practice. And the more we make up our minds and choose peace, the more we'll find opportunities to be the example of peace, what to say, what not to say. So accumulate peace. Wisdom is born from peace, and a peaceful exchange of ideas is born from wisdom. And we can offer that peaceful exchange of ideas to a world that seems to not understand, because we're all experiencing some levels of amygdala hijack from time to time, especially if we keep watching the things that try to keep us peaked and riveted to the screen of information. Information. It's important to know what's going on, but get the information and don't allow it to take your peace along with it. You don't have to exchange your peace for information, and anything that requires you exchange your peace. If you have to pay with your peace to get information, find another outlet inlet for your information. Yeah. Yogananda says, don't allow people to get your goat. Your goat is your peace, and protect that peace. Treasure it. It's an accumulation of the most valuable commodity the world will ever know. And to allow ourselves to hold our peace, hold our tongue sometimes, but also radiate that peace just by our example of being in the world is what we can do our highest and our best. You know, this next song you're about to hear is about a person who liked to jump off of cliffs. Her name was Danielle, and Erika wrote this song about her. And aren't you glad we don't have to jump off a cliff to find peace? But this is where she found peace. The world was more quiet when she was falling through the air. It kind of put her in a state of suspended animation, right? We don't have to jump off cliffs to find peace. But if you do, do what it takes to find that peace, but how you cultivate peace and hold on to it and allow it to just radiate. It's kind of like lighting the candle of your consciousness. When you light the wick of peace, it gives off light for a long time. So just offering this peace to the world, and enjoy this song called Danielle.
She likes to jump off cliffs 'cause the world is quiet when she's folding. Things settle down when she's in the air. Oh, she calls on gravity to pull her world into view. Free falling makes time hold still like she wants it to. Roar of a beating heart in suspended animation is a kind of situation that makes a timid fall apart. Oh, Danielle, giant of Icarus, bravely make your way home. Oh, Danielle, oh, Danielle, oh, 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 Danielle. Steely gray water and a whispering sky give away secrets to those who wanna fly. Thrills and chills and the weary who stand tall. Those who climb the highest are the least afraid to fall. Safety for safety's sake is a dangerous proposition. It keeps us in a position where fear defines each step we take. Oh, Danielle, child of Icarus, bravely make your way home. Oh, Danielle, oh, Danielle, oh, oh, oh. Danielle, won't you take a little jump? Danielle, won't you take a little jump? Danielle, won't you take a little jump? Take a little. Won't you take a little jump? Take a little. Won't you take a little jump? Danielle. She likes to jump off cliffs 'cause the world is quiet when she's falling.
Thank you. So no need to be jumping off of cliffs. Just sit in meditation with us on Meditation Mondays from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. And once again, you can get the link to join us in the Zoom room, soulcallglobal.org, under events and classes. It's every Monday from 8 until 9. And we meditate in the silence. We practice silent meditation. And we'll do a few chants in there as well, just to get our minds grooved on a peaceful feeling. Meditation Mondays. And coming up, Reverend Christy is going to be offering her next segment of writing as a path to awakening. There's going to be more information on that coming in the weeks to come, days to come, probably in the weeks to come. We're currently planning a Sunday Fun Day on Sunday, September the 12th at Upper Arlington Park. And you'll be able to find more information online and in our newsletter. We ask you to like us and share us on Facebook. Maybe put a little quote or just a little note to us in the comments on our Facebook page from time to time. And then share us with your friends on social media and invite them to join our YouTube channel as well, where you can find more recordings like this one from myself, Reverend Christy, Natalia. Our Wake Up with the Consciousness cafes are there as well. And we invite people in from Wake Up with the Consciousness Cafe, people whose souls have come fully alive and they're following their passion and sharing their passion and their soul to help others find the courage to hold their peace as they practice the presence of who they are, bringing their universe to the galaxy. So who are you and what have you come to show us? Your soul's calling. And if you're ever not clear, sometimes we shift, sometimes it's one thing, sometimes it's something else as we evolve our consciousness, but always staying centered and anchored in that peace of the soul is what all of these ideas are here to help us achieve as we create SoulCall centers for consciousness, contemplation, meditation, creativity. So we thank you for joining us this morning. And remember, at 8:15 on Sunday mornings, it's yoga with Natalia. And we started a couple weeks ago. And today I think was the second week. And it's a beautiful practice. And it's different each time. She's got a way of just tapping into what's happening in the moment. Kind of like Flip Wilson from the Church of What's Happening Now, all those years ago. But it's a different practice. I'd allow yourself to, and if you wanted to email if you're going to join the practice and ask for specific stretches for maybe different sports you're doing or different situations you might be experiencing with your body, it's a really good way to bring that to light. So September 12th, it's not going to be art in the park, but it's going to be fun day in the park. And it's going to be, I'm going to offer a State of SoulCall address, filling you in with all the very exciting things that are coming up in the months ahead. rounding out into the new year. And we thank you for your donations and your contributions. Right now, I've kicked up a donation ask. We're at $1,530 out of a $2,500 ask. And most of what that money is going to be used for SoulCall on Facebook. We get 100% of that money. Facebook pays all of the fees and anything. So all of those donations come right to SoulCall. And it's a good way to keep us out there. I want to thank all of you who have already contributed, but check us out or send us donations to donations@soulcallglobal.org. We've got a lot of amazing things coming up for our fund drives into the winter months. We're going to be helping a lot of people moving through the winter like we did last year. So we're starting to accumulate funds for the specific things we're targeting this year, feeding people, clothing people, offering gift cards so that they can get what they need through the winter months. And also, if you are in need of prayer, a fantastic thing with our healing arts team and our prayer team, they're converging and communicating on a regular basis. I want to thank Jean and Candy thank you, Terry Paul Choice. Appreciate that, for communicating with each other. So if you are in need of prayer, just send us an email at prayers@soulcallglobal.org. And if while you're asking for prayer, if you would like Reiki or remote healing to be sent to yourself or the people you're praying for, we have the capacity to do that now too. We've got beautiful teams of people here waiting to be of service to you in consciousness. Natalia, is there anything else right now except for the rewind, which comes up at 11 o'clock in just a few minutes? If you go to soulcallglobal.org and click on SoulCall Sunday Rewind, I'll see you in the Zoom room where we'll speak for about 30 minutes about the talk today and what it brought up for you. So thank you for being with us this morning, wherever you are on the planet. I just want to say, remember always that you are loved. Peace and blessings. Thank you.
One family, one people, one planet, one love.